I kept whispering to myself the whole time, wake up, Naz, you're dreaming. This can't be real. But it was real. It was my life. And it broke something inside of me. This is by far the most traumatic experience of my life. Today I'm going to share my traumatic layover in Charles de Gaulle, Paris as a Black Muslim hijabi mother. I'll have to read it off of my iPad here because I tried filming this. Maybe this is the 8th time. And every time I film it, I cry and I miss some important events of my story. So I decided to just read it off. Excuse me if you see me staring at my iPad. I'm just reading my story. First of all, I ask all of you guys to please tag Air France, Global Affairs Canada, and Canada in France. This video is not for views or attention. All of my content is in Somali if you check my social media, but Air France doesn't speak Somali, and I need justice for what happened to me and my children. My nightmare started at the Air France front desk in Canada. That's where everything began to go wrong. I faced racism, negligence, humiliation, and a complete lack of compassion from Air France. This video will also be part of my legal case because no mother should ever go through what I went through in Paris. So here's my story. After paying almost $1,000 for extra luggage, including an oversized luggage that's normally free, where I carried my baby's stroller and everything, at the gate, they also took my carry-on, the bag with my baby's formula, diapers, wipes, and snacks, because they said the plane was too full. Then they took my stroller, saying it was a new Paris regulation and would go directly to my destination, even though I had a 17 hours layover in Paris with 2 kids, one under 15 months old. On the plane, the woman sitting in front of me slammed her seat back, almost hitting my baby's head. When I asked her to please pull it up, she started huffing and puffing, rolling her eyes, acting like I was bothering her. She said, well, we all paid for our seats. She was so rude. The only reason why she finally moved back her seat was because her boyfriend or husband told her to do so. I told the stewardess, but she said coldly, I can do nothing about it. That same flight attendant, by the way, refused to give me wipes when my baby got dirty and water for her formula. Another crew member later gave it to me out of pity. She basically said that the wipes that they had on the plane was meant for people on the plane to use it, whether to, I don't know, clean their hands before a meal or something like that. And then I told her, well, I didn't have any wipes or diapers. I did have some diapers in my backpack, but I didn't have any wipes because the airline, Air France, took it from me. And she still went on saying, well, that's not her problem. She was so rude, and just the way she was looking at me, how she was just dismissing me. I just gave up on her, so I had to ask another stewardess who just gave it to me pretty much out of pity because I needed to change my baby's diaper. After that, I was just asking help to other crew members. I was just avoiding her. When I landed in Paris, I had to carry my daughter for almost 50 minutes trying to find the shuttle bus. We had a layover of 17 hours in Paris, so I booked an hotel a little bit outside of the airport just to stay there with my kids until my connection flight. My back was killing me. My son was exhausted because it was a 7-hour flight from Ottawa to Paris, so we were all exhausted. When I finally got to the custom area, I realized I had lost my passport. That's when hard became horrific. I went to the Air France desk and explained my situation crying. They said they'd send someone to check the plane. 2 hours passed, 3 hours passed. Then they said the plane was moved and they had to send someone else. 4 hours passed. Finally, they said, we didn't find anything. We'll let you know if something comes out. I asked how. They didn't even take my number. Only then did they take my email. I used to work in customer service, so I know how, things work. And I was able to tell that the lady I was talking to at the help desk didn't really care about my situation. But then 7 hours passed. My kids were hungry, dehydrated, and exhausted. It was, I think, in Canada time, about 4 a.m. I went to the airport police station to declare my passport lost. I sat in front of the police station for another 2 hours, completely broken, exhausted, and hopeless. My whole body was aching. My baby was crying. I was crying. I just sat there thinking, this must be a nightmare. Naz, wake up, Naz. You'll wake up soon. This is not happening. I kept myself telling that over and over and over again. I was in shock and trauma. I felt like I wasn't even in my own body. What really hurt me even more is the fact that I wasn't by myself. I had 2 younger kids with me and a baby that was, my daughter, she's not a baby anymore, but she's 15 months old. And all she was drinking for almost 15 hours was formula. No food, no water, nothing. And the area where we were is the transit zone. So there's no restaurants there. There's nowhere for me to buy food for my kids. And whenever I would ask around, if someone could go out and buy something for me, everyone was just dismissing me. A woman in line saw me and offered to buy food for my kids. She asked the officer if she could step out and come back to give it to me. But they said no, because once she left that secure zone, she couldn't return. Even her kindness hit a wall. I went back to the air front desk after waiting for the police station for like hours. I went back to the air front desk begging for help. I'm like, can I get food, water, anything? One agent, he was a manager. I forgot to write down his name, but I know the time and the date I was there, so I'm pretty sure we can find who he is. Literally told me, ma'am, it's not our fault if you lost your passport. I cried even harder. I told him he had no idea how hard it was to travel alone with 2 small kids. He then said to me, I have 3 kids myself. And his coworker laughed at that. That's when I realized that those people literally did not see me as human. And I'm sure I will share that in more details later on, but I almost certain that if I wasn't hijabi or if I was a white woman, they would have treated me differently. That's when it hit me. They would not help me. They didn't see me as a person. They saw a black Muslim mother wearing a hijab and decided I didn't deserve help. By that point, my children started to get sick. They hadn't eaten proper meal in almost a day. They were weak, coughing and shivering. And everyone who travels know how cold it is in an airport. I was terrified that they get a fever because I couldn't even give them medication. Their stomach were empty and it would have hurt them even more. I tried giving Advil to my daughter, but she puked. You know, Advil is very strong, so it hits your stomach if there's nothing in there. So that's why I decided to just stop and just, try to find help. I remember just sitting there praying to God. I was asking and begging God for any help. Then I met this young man, a Somali young man named Samatar who worked in the airport. His shift had just ended, but he stayed. He didn't know me. He asked me what was happening because he saw me just crying and literally running everywhere back and forth with my kids. He came to me and asked, Walalo, how can I help you? Is everything okay? And then when I explained him the situation, he took me back to the Air France office and pushed them to give us water and snacks. He found a stroller for my baby and even went outside to buy McDonald's. My son even fell in love with him instantly. He started calling him Abti Samatar. I will forever be grateful to him. The crazy thing is the fact that I asked for a stroller. They said that they didn't have anything. But when he went to see them, they suddenly had a stroller. That's why I truly believe that this was pure discrimination. After feeding my kids, I called my family. Everyone was panicking. I also called the Ministry of Youth in Djibouti to tell them I couldn't attend my Thursday interview. So that's another part of the story, guys. I was landing in Djibouti Thursday morning, and in the afternoon, I was supposed to go in front of a jury to explain a project that I've been working on for so many years, and that was literally a life-changing interview. That wasn't gonna happen. Anyways, I'll spare you the details. So I called the ministry. I told them what was happening, and I told them that I couldn't attend the Thursday interview. I went back asking for food, accommodation, or next steps, since we clearly had to stay overnight. They said because it wasn't their fault, I lost my passport, they couldn't do anything. Samatar told me to book the Yotel. It's a hotel inside the airport, so I could at least rest and give space for my kids to also sleep. But first, I had to officially declare the loss of my passport. So I want to mention something here. So today, November 4, I'm back in Canada. I just received this email this morning, basically from, I believe, Air France, Lost and Found, where they're saying that they actually found my passport at the airport on Wednesday, 29th of October. That's the exact day that I was stranded there, basically. I lost it on October 29th, Wednesday, and they found it on October 29, Wednesday. When I asked the help desk people, they said that they called and nothing was found. But the least that they could do is to check with them every few hours, right? Which they didn't. So basically, when this means that I could have just continued my flight to Djibouti and not go through all of that if they did their job. But instead, I had to go through all of this because they didn't want to help me, pretty much. The police station. After almost 12 hours, I met Officer Kathleen, a black policewoman I will never forget. She listened carefully, walked back with me to the Air France, and demanded to know my option. They said they could send me back to my country of origin, so Canada, for 2,800 euro, or I could sleep at the police station with my kids and spend the night there until the next morning, and the police immigration would send me back to Canada for free. That's when I broke down again. And at that point, I was exhausted. I couldn't even eat anything. I was dizzy, and I literally felt that I was living a nightmare. Like, this wasn't happening. And then I asked, what if I stay at the hotel tonight and return in the morning to submit the loss of my passport at the police station instead of doing it now? Because the way they explained to me is once I submitted that I lost my passport and the immigration police in Paris opened a file under my name, I had to stay with them. So I said, what if I just go to the hotel tonight, sleep and feed my kids, and then come back tomorrow and then open the case instead of spending the night there? Because, you know, there's a lot of people there. There's criminals. I didn't want my kids to stay in that area, you know? They said that's also an option. So I had to find my own solution, something they should have told me from the start. That's also one of the things that really frustrated me the whole time. The fact that I had to come up with solutions. I had to ask questions. It's like I was pretty much doing their job. And that showed how much they just didn't care about what was happening to me. Samatar walked us to the hotel where I paid €300 for a few hours. The hotel, by the way, did not have food, just a vending snacks in a snack bar. I have a footage. I'll show you here. He went out again, got us food, diapers, and even a phone charger so I can stay in touch with my family. He stayed with us almost 3 hours until he knew we were safe. I will always remember that. And I remember it was just when he brought the charger to me, that was already 3 hours that he was with me, that I realized I actually didn't even know his name. And I asked him, I'm like, well, what's your name? And then he said, it's Samatar. That shows you how the whole time I was just in survival mode. That night, after putting my kids to sleep, I sat in the dark room and cried silently. I realized I hadn't even had a sip of water. My body was in survival mode. That was when everything was starting to hit me. How I was basically in the middle of nowhere with 2 kids, no one to rely on. And it was just me, my kids, and God. And I just broke down. I remember just crying I don't remember. I just remember waking up from the floor because I don't know when I fell asleep from crying. I'm trying to keep it composed and not cry. Okay. The ministry called me back and told me to send them a video explaining my situation. They said, don't let this break you. And their word gave me hope again. I fixed myself in the darkness, went into the hallway and filmed my presentation for the grand prize. I sent everything, slides, documents, and prayed to God. I did my best. The rest was in his hands. That night, I hand washed my kids' clothes because we didn't have anything on us and dried them with a hairdryer for the morning. When morning came, I felt calmer. I had prayed and cried all night. Told God, please make this easier. I cannot take it anymore. And he did. We went to the police station again. Officer Kathleen had prepared the papers for a 1 p.m. flight to Canada. But the man at the Air France who had to remove the tag from my file wasn't answering. The officer told me we might miss our flight. I felt my chest tightening. I had a panic attack right there, unnoticed, literally. I saw my son looking at me with fear. I breathed, drank some water, did some dhikr, and prayed quietly. After 15 minutes or so, Officer Kathleen ran back saying, it's done, you're cleared. She called a police car escort and 2 young officers came. Because the gates was the other side of the airport and the plane was already boarding, they had to escort me there. She called a police car, 2 young officers came, they carried my baby and drove us straight to the gate. My son was amazed. He said, Mama, we're in a police car. It made me smile for the first time in 2 days. We boarded just in time. And when I finally sat down on the plane, I breathed again. Everyone on that flight was kind. A couple next to us played with my daughter whenever she cried. I felt Canadian hospitality again. It really felt like I was finally going back home. When we landed, officers helped me immediately. The border agent saw I had kids and said, come this way, you don't need to wait in line. Even the lady at the luggage desk apologized that our bags hadn't arrived, even though it wasn't her fault. I wanted to cry again, this time from gratitude. I told myself, Alhamdulillah, my parents made the right choice when they immigrated to Canada. I'm so grateful for that. But the trauma didn't end when we got home. We all caught a bad cold while still in Paris because my My kids hadn't eaten properly for days. I couldn't even give them cold medication, as I said earlier. My daughter lost weight and she even developed acid reflux from drinking only juice, milk, and fruit pouches for almost 2 days. My son has lost weight and so did I. Meanwhile, Global Affairs Canada and the Canadian Embassy in France did nothing. Called them maybe 10 times, begged for help. They said she's in transit zone. France has to deal with it. No compassion, no urgency. I was traumatized. Even now, I still can't believe it happened. I kept whispering to myself the whole time, wake up, Naz. You're dreaming. This can't be real. But it was real. It was my life. And it broke something inside of me. If this is how they treat a mother stranded in an airport, I can't even imagine what happens to citizens trapped in war zones where their governments do nothing. If they can't help me in Paris, how can they help someone in Gaza, in Sudan, or anywhere in crisis? This was the most traumatic experience of my life, but it also showed me that goodness still existed in people like Samatar that I didn't even know, and Officer Kathleen. To Air France, you failed me and my children. To Canadian authorities, you disappointed me. I will not stay silent. I will fight for justice for me, for my children, and for every mother who has ever been treated like she didn't matter. This is my whole story. I actually skipped a few stuff, but this is the main highlight of my traumatic experience in Charles de Gaulle, Paris. If this story touched you, please tag Air France, the Canadian Embassy, and whoever you think might need to see this. I'm so grateful for being Canadian. I really hope that Air France sees this, and I really hope that the world see how they treat Black Muslim women. Thank you.
For example, my father told me, all Black men will leave their wives, this man will leave you. My mother told me, all Black people have AIDS. Like, those things are not true, first of all. Well, my father did not approve of my marriage to my husband.
And why
My
not?
father, yeah, because he's Black.
Oh.
So there's a lot of racism in the Arab like I said, the culture. Islam says no Black man is better than an Arab man. No Arab man is better than a Black man. But my father and my mother were adamant against, no, he's Black. No, they didn't even give him a chance. They didn't meet him. They didn't, give him an opportunity. And that hurt. But when something is wrong, it's wrong. So you got to stand up against it.
When you live in Saudi Arabia as a Black person, you really quickly realize that racism is deeply rooted. And there is a word, abda or abd, whatever, it's the same thing, but which means slave. Okay, remember that, slave. Are you ready? And that's how some of people openly refer to Black people. But what hurts the most is when that word comes from your own friend, guys. And yes, I almost forgot, even my friends call me Abda. Sometimes as if it's normal, and other times during arguments, but that doesn't justify anything. Okay, for example, imagine you walk on the street and someone might give you like hateful look or use terms sauda just to comment on your color skin. But back then, I didn't really see it as a racism. At first, because I was just young and just a child, I didn't really take that serious, and I just start to understand that after moving in France, I began understand what really happened. Anyway, that's it.
There was racism. There was racism because I was Black. So yeah, you are in the blessed land. And alhamdulillah, I'm so happy that I went there because it allowed me to do Umrah and then Hajj at the age of, very young. So alhamdulillah, I'm very grateful for that, for those 2 years. And again, it was probably meant to happen, but there was a lot of racism. I do have an anecdote where, we went to Hajj with my friend, and fellow expat. The lady was white, French, and me, our connection is the French. She's a revert.
Okay, mashallah.
Born Muslim, alhamdulillah. But we went together, so everywhere we go together. So we do everything together, but everyone thinks I'm handmade. So, yeah, that's how bad it was. It didn't affect us at all.
I have a question for you. Are you Muslim first or are you black first? What do you think?
Muslim first and black first?
Yeah. Which one are you?
Wallahi, I'm a Muslim first.
Okay, can I see your hand?
Yeah.
Give me your hand. What color is this?
Black.
So why are you not black first? Did you choose to be black?
No.
Did you choose to be Muslim? Yes.
I born for Muslim.
No, you can leave the deen at any time, but you can't leave your race at any time.
لكن إلهي مرق غفور رحيم.
Plus, these non-black Muslim people don't like you. Let's remember that first. Look at this skin. They don't like you.
يا إنعم.
Yes, they will try to support you because you're Muslim, but when it comes to racial issues, they will not stand up for you. That's why you have to put your black people first. Always.
Listen.
Because at the end of the day, you black
ما
first.
كويشن كما دهن أنا وحقت هذا مسلم ما تاي مس بلاغات هاي.
Yes.
لكن ما كيدا هذا يا أخر مرنا دتك. That's another question why.
Yeah, I'm always put my black people first. I'm sorry, Muslim community. I'm sorry, Muslim community, but my black people come first, and that's
no
that's a
question.
fact.
ما
I'm
كويشن
sorry.
كويدي سام حتى هاي.
Yeah.
وحقت هذا مسلم first time مس بلاغة first هاي ده.
Yeah, I asked you.
هذا مو كده.
Yeah. When people ask me, what are you? I don't answer Muslim first. I say, yeah, I'm black. And I don't like when, because you know why I'm asking you this question? Yeah. Because there was this time where there was a protest. I forgot what protest it was for, but I posted on my Snapchat, and me and this Indian guy, I don't remember what part of India he was from. He might be Indian or he might be Pakistani. I don't know. I forgot, to be honest. But I posted the protest and we were arguing about it, and he was more focused on the destruction of property than the person who lost their life. He was like, oh, why are these people protesting? You guys are going to ruin our city. Da, da, da. And I was like, you know what? Buildings and companies could be rebuilt, but this person will never get their life back. So stop focusing on the wrong issue, right? And then this man continued to argue with me and be like, oh, you're so focused on black issues. You're Muslim first. Have faith in Allah first. And I said, no, I'm black first. I'm not Muslim first. And I said, and I blocked him. I blocked him. So they made me mad.
Listen.
And I don't like when people, let me finish. I don't like when people ask me those questions, because I'm always say I'm black first. And whenever anybody asks me what I am, I'm going to say black first. Yes, I'm Muslim, but look at the color of my skin. I'm black and I'm proud. Go ahead. I'm sorry. This makes me mad.
waxaa jira wax lagu abuuray oo ilaahay inuu jiro og yahay ama muslim ama christian ama belief wax la dhahay jiro inkaasoo aan diinta saas u aqoon ilaahay qafuur raxiim qof walba inuu ilaahay jiro uu aaminsan yahay muslinaad tahay first
markaa diidin but
laakiin markaa idhaahdo oh okay what race you first markaa idhaahdo is different question.
No, people try to pin the Muslim community against the black community. Honestly, I'm really tired of it. The Muslim community is so anti-black and it's ridiculous. The whole world is anti-black. It's not just the Muslim community. But...
Listen, إلهي قفور رحين قفر بالحساب تمايو.
Yeah.
إلهي قفور بمعنى.
Sudan really exposed how racist the Arab and Muslim community can be. The famine and genocide in Sudan has been labeled one of the worst catastrophes of our times. But because the RSF is UAE-backed, many Arabs weaponize their suffering to avoid accountability for what their governments are doing to the Sudanese. And don't get me wrong, one crisis isn't above the other. But that's exactly the point. There is a clear racial hierarchy that exists in Arab and Muslim communities when it comes to empathy. Your solidarity cannot be selective. Both Sudan and Palestine deserve equal amount of freedom and activism, and no one is above the other. Repost to create awareness and follow for more news content you won't get anywhere else.
Is it obvious that I'm not from around here? Is it? I'm not. I'm from Portsmouth. Yeah. And I was the only black African girl in my school. But according to the other students, I was apparently the only Pakistani they'd ever met. These are the same kids that when they met me for the first time, they were like, whoa, your English is well good. I was like, oh, thanks. Where did you immigrate from? Because your English is shit. I think my favourite racial slur was, go back to Africa, you noodle slurping cow herder. Wow. They didn't even know me. Yet they were so accurate. My God. Oh, except for the cow herder part, because that would make them assume that I've got more than one cow. Yeah. I was given a cow when I got married. Yeah. But my husband told me to stop referring to his mother as that, so...